Okay, y'all, today I'm rating some of my recent fragrance pickups. This past weekend I did a mini haul and picked up 3 new cheapies. We have Farah from Paris Corner, then we have 2 from Khadlaj, we have Khadlaj Cream Velvet, and Khadlaj Fursan. And all of these are affordable clones of very popular and expensive niche fragrances. So I've been testing these for the past couple days and I'm here to let you know my initial thoughts. Then I'm also going to rank these in order of least to most favorite, how they smell, the performance, overall value. We're going to jump into all of that. So if you want to see if these fragrances are worth your hard-earned money, stay tuned. What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. I hope that you're doing well. My name is Ty and here I primarily talk about fragrances, but we also sprinkle in some fashion and lifestyle content as well. So all about helping you show up as your best self by looking good, smelling good, and feeling good. Y'all know the vibes, man. So do me a favor, if you're interested in those type of videos, subscribe below for weekly fashion and fragrance content. Then make sure you hit the bell so you can stay notified anytime I make any new videos. Okay, let's get things started, y'all. Let's start with Fursan from Khadlaj. So we have Khadlaj Fursan, or it may be called Fursan White, I'm not sure, but this one is a clone of Matiere Premier's vanilla powder, and it's the EDP version, not the extract of that, so the one in the clear bottle. But I'm so glad I picked this one up when I did, y'all, because I just had a chance to sample the original. So I was in Neiman's, I think last week maybe, I was in Neiman Marcus, and they finally have, you know, the Matiere Premier in there, so I was able to smell vanilla powder, get it on skin. Left with a decant as well, so had a chance to really sit with that one and then literally pick this up a few days later. So what I'll say first and foremost, pretty close to the original in terms of its overall scent profile, how it develops on skin and everything like that. This one is a little interesting though. So if you haven't smelled the original before or this, essentially it's like a vanilla coconut vibe, right? So you get like vanilla and then some like coconut shavings. Think of, that's my best way of describing it. It's pretty simple, but it does come off kind of as you know, powdery vanilla, slightly fresh, I'll say vanilla. So vanilla, I think vanilla with a slight tropical twist with that coconut vibe, but it's not overly sweet. And I think that's the thing that I like, or I'm, you know, starting to like about it, right? Is because, you know, it's not overly, you know, creamy or super sweet vanilla. It's like almost like a, yeah, drier sort of powdery vanilla with some coconut that I think realistically, if you're a fan of vanilla fragrances, you probably could get away with this one year round. Overall, y'all, this is definitely a powdery vanilla fragrance that does have those hints of coconut that almost gives it this, you know, slightly fresh and clean vanilla vibe. And, you know, one that, like I said, has the slightest just tropical twist because of that vanilla. So very wearable, year-round, you know, versatility, especially if you like vanilla fragrances. And in terms of being close to the original, I would say this one is fairly close to the original. Definitely, you know, gives me the same vibe of the original, which is, you know, Matiere Premier's vanilla powder. The difference is with this one, I'd say for the first hour or so, it is a little more sharp, a little more screechy, and I don't know, just not quite as smooth. But I did notice that same, you know, sort of sharpness with the original. I think it's just a combo of that kind of dry vanilla with the coconut. That one did have a slight, you know, sharpness to it as well, but was still overall, you know, smoother for sure. Whereas this one, like I said, was a bit more, you know, punchy and screechy for the first hour or so. But once it settled in, smelled very good and could just need some time to macerate. Like I said, I did just pick these ones up less than a week ago, so more to come there. But overall, light, clean, vanilla, fresh, you know, fragrance that works well if you're a vanilla fan. And I say light because of how the vanilla is used, not because of the performance. So again, the vanilla isn't super sugary or sweet or dense, a little more on the dry, kind of fresh side. But performance, y'all, this one is the strongest of the bunch. So of the 3 fragrances, this one's hands down, you know, lasts the longest. Easily 12 plus hours, I'll say, with this one, which is kind of crazy to me, right? Sprayed this one on one day after I showered when I got home from work, so around 6 p.m. Smelled it all evening very easily. It projected pretty good, was, you know, pretty noticeable on skin. Woke up the next morning and I still smelled this one pretty easily, like, right? I, of course, put my nose to my arm, but still kind of smelled it, you know, with ease. And like I said, that was easily, you know, 12 plus hours later. So would say comfortably 12 plus hours on skin, pretty good projection, very solid performer overall if you like vanilla fragrances with a slight, coconut twist, or just on the fresher side. Might be one that you want to check out. Okay, next up we're going to go into Paris Corner. So we have Farah, and this one is a clone of Initio Side Effect. If you can't tell, the bottle even looks similar color scheme wise. So I was really excited to get my nose on this one, y'all, because I do enjoy Side Effect. Maybe not as much as everybody else, because there's a lot of other fragrances from Initio that I think I enjoy just as much, if not more, than Side Effect. But this one here, y'all, yeah, this one kind of blew me away. It definitely is very, very close to the original. Gives you that warm, boozy kind of cinnamon. You get some sweetness from vanilla as it continues to dry down. And much like the original, I always felt like there was some sort of like fruity note in there as well. Like you just get a slight fruity sweetness from like cherry or something, right? Could be, just me, but I've always felt that even with the original, and I feel like the same thing is in here. So, y'all, all in all, if you like Initio Side Effect, I would definitely recommend getting your nose on Farah, y'all, because this one's very, very close. And the thing that I appreciate most about this, I smelled some other clones of Side Effect. I've smelled After Effect before, which was good, but I don't think it was better than this. Also smelled Upside Down from Alexandria Fragrances, which was very good, but a bit more expensive than this one. And I think even still, I'd put them kind of neck and neck with one another, but I think I prefer this one even more. Y'all, it just captures that DNA to a T, and it's so smooth from the start, right? Like from initial spray, right? There was no roughness, no sharpness, no, overdose of one note, note versus another. And I think that's something I noticed with After Effect. It felt like it was very spicy at the beginning, right? But then as it dried down, it kind of, tapered in and became more well balanced. But this one here, I feel like from the beginning, very well balanced, relatively linear, right? Which I feel like Side Effect to an extent kind of is. It gets a little sweeter as it dries down, but this one just is so smooth, y'all, from beginning to end. Also performs very well. I'd say you get 8 to 9 plus hours of longevity. Projection is more moderate. It hasn't been, beast mode, but again, I did just get these, so with maceration, letting this one mature a bit, that could get better. But even as it stands now, I think it's a great performer, and there's just nothing not to like here, y'all. If you like Side Effect or those warm, boozy, slightly spicy fragrances, you're going to want to get your nose on this one, y'all. So we got Farah from Paris Corner. And last but not least, from Khadlaj, we have Cream Velvet, which is their clone of Bianco Latte. So this is the only one I didn't have a recent experience with. So I have sampled Bianco Latte. It was months ago though. And I remember smelling it and it was pleasant. It's a nice smelling fragrance, but very simple. It was pretty much just a creamy vanilla fragrance, right? That almost had this edible feel. It was kind of buttery and, smelled like vanilla cake to me. That's exactly what I remember it smelling like. Is, think of a vanilla cake with, buttercream, vanilla icing. That was kind of it to me. So not bad, but just simple and didn't really see the hype, I guess. So what I'll say about this one is it smells very similar to what I remember, right? So creamy, very sweet, almost sugary vanilla, slightly buttery feel, like I said, almost like a vanilla cake with vanilla buttercream icing. So if you're someone that's a fan of that scent profile, I would say definitely check this one out, because one, you're going to save money, but two, if I remember correctly, I don't think that one performed super well on my skin. I think I got like 5-6 hours, which I don't think is terrible, but for the price, you would definitely, hope to get a little more. So overall, like I said, I didn't do a direct side to side with this one. More on, memory of what I remember from that fragrance. So would say this one reminds me a lot of, what Bianco Latte is, and kind of gave me the same vibe in terms of, what it smelled like to me. And overall, this is a sweet, gourmand leaning vanilla fragrance that does smell good, but also performs pretty good as well. Got around 7 to 8 hours each time that I've tested this one, but very similar to Farah by Paris Corner. Sits a little closer to skin. It definitely projects, but it's just not beast mode projection. But again, this one, like Farah, they both are extrait de parfum, so I'd say they kind of act as such. Very dense, kind of sit on you. Very good sillage, but projection itself, little bit reined in, but again, could also change as I let this one sit mature a bit. But all in all, a fragrance that I like. I would say I definitely, I mean, I know I got this one in my collection. This is enough for me, like I said, because I wasn't a huge fan of the original. If you're a fan of the original and don't want to spend the money, you might want to check this one out. But if you just want, you know, a sweeter vanilla kind of gourmand fragrance in your collection, I think this one will do the trick, because me personally, I probably wouldn't wear this fragrance alone. I probably would layer, and I think it's perfect for that. It's a great fragrance to layer with, especially in the fall and winter, those cooler months when you want something that will just help kind of warm up and maybe sweeten up certain fragrances that are maybe a little, you know, heavier on the spice, or maybe have some, you know, leather or tobacco or something like that in it. You just want a nice base that's a little warmer, a little richer, a little sweeter. This one is going to be perfect. So that's exactly how I plan to use it. And okay, now that we've talked about all three in depth, we're going to finish by ranking these from my least to most favorite. Starting with number 3, it's going to be Cream Velvet by Khadlaj. So again, a very creamy, sweet, vanilla, gourmand leaning fragrance that to me is very simple, but doesn't mean it's a bad fragrance, right? Just in terms of what I, you know, like and enjoy in a fragrance, I think this is the least of the 3, but still very nice. A very solid alternative to the original. I would say definitely a good buy, because, you know, very reminiscent of what I remember the original to be, but performs even better from what I remember. So great for layering, if, like I said, because it is, you know, kind of unisex, maybe leaning slightly feminine, but I think you can, you know, layer this with some heavier, spicier, more leather, you know, masculine fragrances, and it's going to help with performance and give you a unique smell. So overall, I give this one a 7.5 out of 10. But that's mainly because of the scent profile and what I like. Okay, coming in at number 2, we'd have Fursan from Khadlaj. Again, this is the vanilla powder clone, so a very powdery vanilla fragrance that's a bit on the drier side. Does give a slight coconut vibe that gives it the slightest, you know, tropical twist, but overall a more clean, you know, slightly fresh, you know, wearable take on vanilla, because it isn't overly sugary or, you know, dense or sweet, but performs like a beast. This one is a very solid performer, much like the original as well. So only knock you get here is, of course, like I said, the opening, first 30 or 45 minutes or so. It is a little screechy, it is a little sharp, but I did notice that as well with the original, but not quite to the extent that this one is, right? So probably, you know, the difference in quality. Again, paying these prices, there are going to be different sacrifices you're going to have to make. So very rarely is the quality going to, you know, equally match the original, but to be expected, right? You're getting a severe, you know, savings here. So all in all, I think this is a very solid fragrance that, who knows, with time could smooth out even more and be even better. But as it sits now, I'd say this one is number 2, and I give this one an 8 out of 10. So of course that leaves our, you know, first place option, which is Farah by Paris Corner. And y'all, this one here, again, smelled a number of Initio side effect clones. I think it's safe to say so far from what I remember, this one is my favorite. I haven't smelled everyone out there, but have smelled some of the top ones, and this one is above all of those because this one's just so smooth from the initial spray. Smooth, it's refined, it feels very put together, and again, no note kind of specifically jumps out more than the other, just as I remember, you know, with the original, which is side effects. So it's warm, it's boozy, it's, you know, slightly spicy, it's a little sweet as it dries down, and does all of that very well at a very, very affordable price. I think I paid $30 for this one. So I'd say this is my favorite, just overall because of the scent profile, but also because of the quality, how smooth it is. And overall rating, I give this one a 9 out of 10. Be sure to like and subscribe if you found this video valuable, and then leave me a comment below. Let me know if you've tried any of these fragrances, or if you have any other inspirations of the OGs that you prefer.